Thanks for joining me for another episode of Lauren's Learning Lab. I'll be continuing my conversation with Carla Horwitz on the topic of block play. With nearly 50 years of experience in working closely with young children in her role at Calvin Hill Child Care Center, along with her role on the faculty at Yale University in both the Child Studies program and the Department of Psychology, Carla brings a wealth of experience and knowledge to this conversation. Her knowledge is steeped in practice and in research, and I can't wait to continue talking to her about block play. As our children's schedules changed in a tremendous way, going from full-time school to distance learning and a slightly abbreviated day and completing assignments at home to a summer that's now free of camps, I see a lot more free time in our future. I'm hoping that free time is filled up with play. Maria Montessori's quote, "Play is the work of the child," seems to resonate here, and I asked Carla to speak to that, to help us all formulate an understanding of how meaningful play is to children and how we can support play at home as parents and caregivers. What kind of reassurances can you give us that their play, their hands-on work, the kinesthetic learning that they're doing with materials in the home or in school, hands-on work is as valuable as the textbook online learning that they're doing?
Well, I think, first of all, when children work with materials or natural objects and create something, when you're watching them, those materials are making their thinking visible. You know that things are going on when you see what they're doing with the seriousness with which they work. And that often happens when their minds and their hands are engaged together. They can work for a long time. We don't have to worry about whether they can pay attention, but it has to be something that's meaningful and that has some value to them as well as to the people who are offering the curriculum to them. And I think to be intentionally, meaningfully engaged and to have it be in part initiated by them is what makes the meaning out of the curriculum that they're working on. Piaget, who was a firm believer in and a famous theorist, that children, they have to act on the environment in order to learn about it. This idea of playing with ideas is really crucial to the way learning happens.
If we're going to suggest that viewers are taking something away from this episode, and hopefully it's to incorporate blocks into their home environments, it can be intimidating to think as a parent, how can I support my kids in their play when it's supposed to be meaningful, it's supposed to be work, they're supposed to be learning from this, so what is my role as a parent? Are there any other tips that you could give to parents or questions that we can ask that are open-ended enough that allow the thought process to be extended?
Well, I think one of the most important things is listening.
Tunnel. Yeah? Should I look through the tunnel?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna look through. Here I come. Oh, I like it down here.
No, mine is closed.
I see.
Listening to them and again, the open-ended kind of questions, like not how many blocks did you put in that tower, but how did you decide, to use those blocks? Or tell me about what you did. Something that isn't a yes or no answer and doesn't have a right answer that the adult already knows the answer. When they're asking the question, they know what the answer is. Being present, that doesn't mean playing with, but being present, being there, noticing.
We movie have like that today,
What are we making here?
leaf star.
To be there to kind of not build something, but put the blocks on top of each other or make a little bit of an enclosure or just kind of playing with but not making something helps children to see what the potential of the material might be if they need that. And so you can be not a model so much as a a little bit of a provocateur. I wonder what will happen if I put these blocks together. Let's see. Not to teach, but to show children what possibilities there might be, and then step back.
The two best things we've done, is that and that.
I think that, it's funny you say that. I really love these two also, and they're so different from the rest of the blocks.
I think you should also, take some pleasure in what your child has done and kind of let them know that. Not like, oh, I love it, because it's not really about you.
Right.
It's more like, finding out what happened and then saying, I noticed you worked really hard.
That was
Or,
awesome.
gee, you were at this for a long time.
Carla, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today and share all of your thoughts and experiences and knowledge about block play and early childhood education with the viewers of Lauren's Learning Lab. This has been a tremendous opportunity, and I hope you'll join us again sometime soon on another topic.
Well, I thank you because, as you can tell, I'm quite passionate about blocks and many other aspects of early childhood education and young children. So I'm honored and thank you.
We have another set of wood blocks in our house. This set was made by my dad for my kids using remnants of wood from other projects he'd worked on. This is an example of another way to create a set of wood blocks for your own home. So many thanks to Carla for joining me in this two-part episode on block play. If you'd like to learn more about block play in preschool or in the home, I recommend checking out the Block Book by Elizabeth Hirsch. It's one of the resources that Carla recommends to her students, and she felt it would be really great for viewers to check it out as well. NACE is another great resource on block play and all other matters related to early childhood education. NACE is the National Association for the Education of Young Children, and we'll provide links to these references and others in the video description below. I hope you'll join me next time. I'll see you then.